This is
Cast.
Hello there, and welcome to a brand new episode of my podcast, Podcast Racing. So, over a year ago, back in the olden days, when I wasn't doing the podcast, just regular movie reviews on my YouTube channel, Cotton Cola, I had heard about the show Cobra Kai, a sequel series to the Karate Kid film franchise that was coming to YouTube Premium, and unlike many others who were skeptical at first, I was actually interested in seeing the show and what it was all about. Prior to hearing about Cobra Kai, I had literally zero interest in watching any of the Karate Kid movies, mostly because the famous ending to the first one was already spoiled for me, and I watched that mediocre remake with Jaden Smith and Jackie Chan years earlier. But I really want to watch Cobra Kai and decided out of obligation to watch at least the first Karate Kid movie so that I could have some understanding of what would happen in Cobra Kai. And to my surprise, I ended up loving, like really loving the first Karate Kid movie despite it being spoiled for me already. I rated it a 9 out of 10 on IMDb, which is probably too high of a rating, but I don't care. I loved it. I really like Ralph Macchio or Macchio as Daniel LaRusso and Pat Morita as Mr. Miyagi definitely deserved his Oscar nomination for Best Supporting Actor. I've only seen parts of the second Karate Kid film and have not seen the third one or the one with Hilary Swank, and I have no plans to be honest. The day after watching the first Karate Kid movie, which it has its flaws for sure, Johnny Lawrence really doesn't have much of a character. He's basically just the bully, at least in the first Karate Kid movie. He gets a lot more depth in Cobra Kai. We'll talk about that later. Oh, and before I proceed, spoilers. Spoilers. I mean, I already spoiled the first Karate Kid movie, so if you haven't seen it, sorry. But I'm going to be spoiling what happens in both seasons of Cobra Kai so far. So anyway, so basically Johnny Lawrence doesn't really have much depth given to him in the movie, but that thankfully changed with the show. And there are some cheesy moments in the first Karate Kid, and the character of Ali really isn't given much depth or character either. But hopefully that will change in Cobra Kai. The day after watching that first, pretty good, in my opinion, Karate Kid movie, I subscribed for a free month-long trial to YouTube Premium and binged the excellent first season of Cobra Kai in just 2 days. I loved how the perspective mostly changed from Daniel's point of view to Johnny's, although we did get some scenes from Daniel's point of view. Actually, well, quite a few scenes, I guess, as well. I really like how neither Daniel nor Johnny is really the hero nor the villain. Both Daniel and Johnny are right and wrong in certain situations. Depth was given to both of these characters, and surprisingly, the kids in the show were not annoying or a nuisance. Most of them were likable and had complex, interesting storylines as well. That was especially a case with Miguel and Eli, aka Hawk. Just like in the movie, there were definitely some corny jokes and weak lines of dialogue in the show that slightly lowered the quality of that first season, but overall, the first season, in my opinion, is excellent, entertaining, the fight choreography is all great, and I also rated the first season a 9 out of 10. And after finishing that first season, I made videos on my thoughts on the first season and a theories/predictions video on the upcoming second season. And despite my high anticipation level for the second season, I could not see it by the time it premiered in 2019, mostly due to not being able to afford to resubscribe to YouTube Premium at the time. I did not watch the second season of Cobra Kai until recently when it got moved to Netflix. And once it did get moved to Netflix, I finally watched it. And in today's episode of my podcast, Podcast Racing, I am ready to share my thoughts on Season 2 and my personal theories/predictions for Season 3. So, Season 2, I also would give a 9 out of 10 to, but I actually think that it's better than the first season. I think that the first season of Cobra Kai, I would probably give that like a 9.0 if I had to be even more specific. And the second season, I would give it a 9.4 out of 10. The only reason why I'm not rating the second season of Cobra Kai any higher is because, just like with the first season, there are a few minor cheesy moments, corny moments, and lines of dialogue that just eh. But I thought that the second season was actually a big step, big increase in quality over the first season. I thought that the second season went darker in the best ways. It really built on all the characters. I really liked seeing Daniel start his own dojo, Miyagi-Do, and basically and train all these students. I was pleasantly surprised to see Daniel really struggle with Miyagi-Do and find different new ways of teaching his students. And I really like how dark they got with that last episode and the ending where Miguel gets seriously injured by Robbie kicking him off the stairwell in school, and Miguel breaking his neck and possibly dying. We'll talk later on in the episode about whether I think that Daniel actually, sorry, not Daniel, Miguel is actually dead or not. But overall, I really liked the second season. I really surprisingly liked Tori, although it was a bit cheesy at the end when basically she tried to kill Sam over her and Miguel kissing. Sam and Miguel. I don't know. I thought that was a bit too corny and cutesy. But I thought that Peyton List did a pretty good job. I'm really sad that Nicole Brown, I think the actress's name is, as Aisha, the character. I'm sad that Aisha is not going to be back in the third season because I actually really like her and what they've been doing with her so far. But I mean, Nicole Brown did say that the writers couldn't find a place for her in the third season in the show anymore. So yeah, I mean, I get, there probably wasn't that much more to do with her, but she'll still be missed in my opinion. And I also really liked Paul Walter Hauser as one of the new recruits to Cobra Kai. I thought that he was an excellent addition and provided a lot of good laughs. And Paul Walter Hauser is a great actor in general. Him in movies like I, Tonya, Black Klansman, Richard Jewell, regardless of the Five Bloods, regardless of what movie he's in, I think he always does a pretty good job. And overall, the second season, I thought that I also really liked in the second season the scene in the restaurant where Daniel, Johnny, and they're basically both on dates basically, and they basically are their dates basically kind of force them to interact with one another, and then they do actually start getting along, but unfortunately that changes with Robbie going to Johnny for help and bringing Sam to Johnny's apartment. So, way to go, Robbie. Yeah, Robbie really messed up in the second season. But yeah, overall, I think, again, the second season is really great and improvement, in my opinion, over the first season, which I already really loved. But the second season just went on a whole new level for me. And yeah, I thought that it was really good. And a while ago, like I mentioned earlier in the episode, I made a theories video on season two. And so, really quickly, before I move on, I just want to remind you all of my theories for season two, what I thought was going to happen in season two after watching season one. And I'm basically going to let you know, well, whether they were correct or not. So, although if you've already seen the second season, then you'll know whether they're correct or not. So, one of my theories for what would happen in season two is that Hawk would become even more violent and get to a place where he would actually end up committing a really serious crime and getting arrested. And this did not happen in the second season, but I think that it could happen in the third season where he just goes too far and get arrested. So this theory I got wrong. Another theory for season two I had is that Miguel and Sam will fight at the end of the second season in another tournament, but then later reconcile. And this did, for those of you who have seen the second season, obviously this did not happen. But they did kind of reconcile. Basically, they kissed at that party. Daniel and Robbie will start a new dojo, Miyagi-Do, in which various high school students, including possibly Dimitri, will train there, which will lead to tensions and possibly fights at school between Miyagi-Do students and Cobra Kai students. Surprisingly, well, I guess not really surprisingly, because that direction was kind of inevitable, but still, I was pleasantly surprised to see that that theory was correct. Robbie's past will haunt him via the two crooks that I used to hang out with. That theory was kind of correct for one episode. I thought that they'd be a bit more prominent, be in multiple episodes in the second season, but they were at least in one, so I guess my theory, I'm counting it as being correct. Johnny will really struggle to be both a tough Cobra Kai sensei, but also make sure that students don't become criminals or jerks. Yeah, this theory that I made was correct. And the final theory from that video that I made over a year ago is that John Kreese will regain control of Cobra Kai and resume his role as an even stricter sensei. And yes, if you have seen the season 2 finale where basically John Kreese was able to manipulate Johnny and steal the dojo back away from Johnny, and yeah, he's just the sensei again of Cobra Kai, and I really like that. Even though we should have seen it coming, the writers were still able to trick us by having John Kreese be homeless. But despite everything that John Kreese has been through, he didn't learn his lesson. We thought that he was maybe going to get a redemption arc, and we saw Johnny Lawrence sympathizing with and forgiving John Kreese. But once he found out about John Kreese's homelessness situation, but no, John Kreese is still a really bad guy who needs to be stopped, and hopefully Johnny will be able to. So yeah, most of my theories for season 2 did prove to be correct in some way. And but even the theories that weren't proven correct, I wasn't disappointed by that. Really, again, I really love the third season of Cobra Kai, and I'm really looking forward to seeing the second season of Cobra Kai. I loved, and the third season of Cobra Kai, which will come out on January 8th. I think that's what Netflix said, January 8th. I'm really excited to see the third season of Cobra Kai. And I do have some thoughts on what I think will happen in the third season of Cobra Kai. Some theories. So the first theory that I have is that, well, obviously they're strongly hinting at this, and so the character Ali is going to return. But I don't think that Ali will be played by Elizabeth Shue. I do not think that Elizabeth Shue is going to come back as Ali. I think that the character will come back, but she's going to be played by a different actress. I do not think. Uh, they. I think that in the first season, a lot of people were expecting Ali to be the wife of Johnny in the first season of Cobra Kai, but then it didn't. It turned out to be, that I forget the character's name, but she's played by Courtney Helen Geller, however you pronounce her last name. So if they couldn't get, so I have a feeling that the writers or producers probably did try to get Elizabeth Shue for the first season of Cobra Kai, but then they couldn't. So if they couldn't get her for the first season, I highly doubt they're going to get her for the third season. So I don't think that Ali is going to reappear, she is going to reappear, but not by Elizabeth Shue. It's going to be a different actress. My theory is that Ali will reappear, she and Johnny will reunite, and briefly actually resume their romantic relationship. I think they're actually going to get back together, and Ali's going to try to help Johnny take down Kreese, but I think that through like Johnny's aggressive or not exactly politically correct behavior, I think Ali's going to be reminded of why she broke up with Johnny in the first place, and I think that in this in the midpoint of season 3, they're gonna break up again, and Johnny's gonna get into an even worse, lower emotional state. Another theory I have for season 3 is that Daniel will initially struggle with not teaching karate and will actually end up teaching it behind his wife's back. Amanda, her name's Amanda. Oh my gosh, I remember. Yeah, Amanda, played by Courtney Helen Geller. Yeah, Amanda, he's gonna hide karate teaching, resume the Miyagi-Do teaching behind her back, and she's gonna find out, and she's gonna want a divorce, actually, which is gonna cause even more emotional strain for Sam, who I think is going to get into another fight, and even more brutal fight with Tori. Hawk will get close or actually kill Dimitri, and I think he's gonna get arrested for something, but I think that he's definitely gonna want revenge on Dimitri for Dimitri being able to win the fight at the end of the second season. I think that both Tori and Robbie will both reappear and go on a serious downward spiral into crime and self-hatred, respectively. I think that Robbie is going to initially be very remorseful. I think that he's definitely going to be remorseful, at least for hurting Sam by hurting Miguel, because Sam was clearly not happy with Robbie for what he did to Miguel. And I think that there's a chance that Robbie will go back to a life of crime, but I don't know. I don't think that the writers are going to do that, but I think, there is a small chance that they might do that. I think that Tori is going to reappear as well, and cause a whole bunch of trouble. And again, she and Sam, I think, are going to get into a even bigger, worse fight that will cause one of them to go to hospital. Well, again, I think. And speaking of hospital, I think that Miguel will live. I don't think, like in that they showed that teaser for season 3, which did include a clip of Tori, new footage. So I guess part of my theory that I just mentioned was proven correct already. But I think that will live because they did include uh, a new footage of him in the hospital for the season 3 teaser that Netflix released. I think that he will live, but will initially not even be able to walk. I don't think he's gonna be completely paralyzed from the show throughout. I think that because I think that the writers and producers are gonna want to take advantage of Zolo, the actor's martial arts skills. So I think that Miguel will live and will eventually be able to learn karate again, but he's really gonna struggle at first. I think that Johnny, with some help from Ali, will face off against Kreese and lose badly at first, possibly even end up in the hospital. But then in the season 3, episode 10 finale or something, if there are 10 episodes of season 3, I think that in the finale, John will basically get involved in a rematch against Kreese, and he's gonna win and be able to take back Cobra Kai, but the students might not, embrace Johnny due to Kreese brainwashing them and corrupting them and causing them to really get into their darker roots. And my final theory for season 3, well, not really for season 3, this is just a theory for the show overall. I think that season 4 will be the final season of the show. I'm not really sure where else or what else they could do with these characters. I don't want them to go make the show go on for too long. So I think that season 4. I don't know if it will be, but I think that it should be the final season of Cobra Kai. And if it is, then Cobra Kai. Yeah, it might be too short for some people, but I really think that it will go down as being one of the better shows, and not have its reputation tainted by going on too long, and hopefully not have its reputation tainted by its final season being massively disappointing or bad, unlike some other shows, Game of Thrones, but or go on for too long, like a lot of people criticize shows like Simpsons or Family Guy or Cheers for going on too long. And I think that hopefully Cobra Kai will go the Breaking Bad route, where it's short but sweet. So yeah, those are basically my kind of jumbled thoughts on what I thought about what I think about this franchise overall. I would consider myself, even though I haven't seen all of the second movie or the third movie or the Hilary Swank movie, I do consider myself a fan of this franchise. Definitely a fan of these characters. Oh, and really quick on the Hilary Swank Karate Kid movie. I don't think that Hilary Swank or that character is gonna appear in Cobra Kai at all due to the negative reception of the next Karate Kid. I think that's what the movie's called. Yeah, due to the poor reception of that movie, I don't think. I mean, the other Karate Kid movies didn't really get great reception, critical reception to begin with, but that last Karate Kid movie really, like, people really did not like that one. So I don't think that Hilary Swank or that character is gonna come back. But this show overall, it's really really good. Yeah, I'm gonna sound like a broken record here when I say this, but it really did a good job making Johnny Lawrence a lot more complex, building on the fact that he was a bully, just a bully in the movies, but in the show, like basically saw got to see stuff from his perspective, and even though I don't agree with what he did in the movies or a lot of what he does in the show, even though I don't agree with a lot of his philosophies or his actions. I think that he is definitely a lot more interesting, and I do sympathize with him a lot in many scenes. That scene where in the second season where he reunites with some of his fellow friends who are also from Cobra Kai. I really like that one as well. And that guy that died in the second season, I think he actually died in real life, so which is a real shame. Rest in peace. And again, I really hope that Cobra Kai overall goes the Breaking Bad route, short but sweet. And I really hope that with the final season or the final, just whenever they do the finale, I hope that they do this really big, crazy like fight sequence, even bigger than the awesome fight sequence between the students that we got in the second season of Cobra Kai. And that was really awesome on its own, but I hope that they go even bigger, but not too big. I don't want them to get like so ridiculously big like I want them to have a big fight at the end, but not so big that it becomes cheesy or ridiculous. And so again, really love the show. I think that the casting all around is really great. I really didn't like Dimitri that much in the first season of Cobra Kai, but what they did with him in the second, and also with those other two Cobra Kai students, with one of them joining Miyagi Do, I thought that that was I thought that that was pretty cool what they did with that. Uh, don't I think that having the little kids, that one Asian kid from Miyagi Do, formerly Cobra Kai, and that one really tiny white kid from who still is in Cobra Kai, having them uh, having those kids, that was a little bit too cutesy, you know, at the end where they're fighting. And their choreography was like one of the rare times in the show where the fight choreography was actually bad. But I don't, you know, I'm not saying this is a huge flaw again because I rated the show like the second season probably would rate it like a 9.4 out of 10. This is not a huge flaw, but just those two like really tiny kids fighting and other moments in the show overall, that there were moments like that were a little bit too cutesy or corny or cheesy. But again, and I'm just rambling here now, but overall, Cobra Kai is really good. If you have Netflix, I highly recommend checking it out. I recommend at least watching the first movie. There are moments in the show that heavily reference what happens in the second and I believe the third Karate Kid movies, but I haven't seen the second and third Karate Kid movies, and I didn't get too lost. I was able to get the gist from the use of flashbacks or the dialogue in the Cobra Kai show that they were when they were referencing moments from the second and third Karate Kid movies. So I think you really just need to watch Definitely watch at least the first Karate Kid movie if you're gonna watch Cobra Kai. So yeah, those are basically my thoughts on uh, Cobra Kai overall, including new thoughts on season 2 and season 3 theories. I know that I didn't speak really that eloquently, really that well in this video, but I hope that I was still able to get my points clearly across, and that I was able to convince some of you who haven't seen, who aren't fans of this franchise yet, to become fans of this franchise yet and see the movie, at least the first movie, and this great show, in my opinion. So yeah, that'll conclude this episode of podcast racing. And yeah, so thank you again so much for watching. And I promise that, well, hopefully next week's episode, I'll be able to speak a little bit more eloquently. And yeah, again, thanks for watching. Bye.